Hello, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us today. Thank you for taking the time to cover this crucial topic of document control, escaping the nightmare of document compliance. Today, I have joining me James Chantler, brings with him almost 20 years of experience in document control, workflow automation, and document management solutions. Just before we get started, and as people join, just a little bit of housekeeping. This session is being recorded, as just mentioned, and will be provided to all those that registered prior to the event. Speakers' contact information can be provided upon request. If you'd like to either speak to myself or James Chantler after this directly, please feel free to leave a message in the chat, and I'll get one of our assistants to pass over contact information. Feel free throughout this to ask any questions that you have in relation to the solution, land, or any document compliance issues or compliance issues you're trying to solve, and we'll get round to answering those questions in the Q&A session at the end. In addition to that, there will be a chance to have a one-to-one consultation to follow up on this, to learn a little bit more about how this or other solutions can work for your business and ultimately help resolve some of the compliance problems you might have. Just a little bit about Landl, and I promise not to spend too long on this because we're here for the demonstration. We all want to see how this product can work and ultimately solve our problems. So a little bit about Landl. Our mission ultimately is to inspire growth for our customers by deploying smart technology solutions. We're essentially a digital transformation consultancy with a heavy focus on sustainability. And we're independent of manufacturer. That ultimately means that we will not push you down the direction of a specific product if it's not the right fit for you. James, as much as I love working with you on projects, if Docker isn't the right fit, then we will not recommend it. We will always try and find the right product for the company that we're working with. And we've worked with more than 2,000 companies globally and have helped support by implementing digital and physical solutions. Ultimately, as I say, helping to find the right technology. We design the best solutions based on your needs. We don't shoehorn things in. It's about ultimately finding a custom bespoke solution built around your business. And it's all about ultimately helping you maximize your potential. With new updates for businesses when it comes to the budget that's just been released. It's all about, I guess, trying to find those marginal efficiencies, trying to find opportunities to increase productivity, and ultimately support your business with this profitability. So we are 9000 and 14001 BSI UCAS accredited, or certified, I should say. So why is future-proofing document technology so important? You've got rapid technological changes and advancements, so there's always new technology out there that can support, and this is a fairly frequent thing. For example, even DocuWare has developments in AI technology that I'll leave James to kind of cover off, go a little bit more into detail on. You've got always compliance and regulation changes happening, so having the right solution that can grow with you, that can develop into those areas, can support. You've got enhancing operational efficiency, making your business more efficient, more productive. Cybersecurity, there are continuous cyber threats. We did a webinar a few months ago on this topic specifically, and that's always a growing concern for businesses. You've got supporting remote and hybrid working models, changes in work structures. People work from home, and that can increase threats. It can also make it difficult for people to access certain documents. So having a product that can evolve with you and make it easier for people to access is helpful. You've got cost management ROI, trying to manage those and understand the return on investment that you're going to see from each piece of software or solution you have. Sustainability, and ultimately staying competitive, making your business more flexible, more functional, more productive. So what are the consequences of not controlling documents? So 65% of companies have reported to us that compliance is their top document control issue. And that's ultimately what this webinar is seeking to solve. So a couple of cases, just to kind of highlight the impacts of what can happen if you're not compliant. I'm sure all of you are well aware of these sorts of cases, but for anyone that isn't, here's a couple of scenarios. So there was a financial firm that we worked with that accidentally shared sensitive documents, and it ended up resulting in a £500,000 fine, £500,000 fine, and that could have easily been resolved through having a robust access control solution. Equally, inadequate access control resulting in a £100,000 GDPR fine. This was an insurance company that couldn't locate contractual documents and ultimately led to a bit of a PR crisis, whereas something like DocuWare would have very easily solved that problem for them. So what do those challenges look like today? So we've got, and I've listed on the right-hand side some ISO standards that these items would align with. So you got ensuring that only authorized personnel have access to sensitive documents, keeping track of who accessed, modified, and shared documents, and that one in particular is something I've had the pleasure of dealing with when it comes to 9001 for ourselves. You've got determining which documents need to be retained and securely disposing of outdated ones. Protecting documents against cyber threats like hacks, phishing, unauthorized sharing. And finally, quickly locating specific documents when needed, particularly during audits. Again, something that I've had the pleasure of panicking over when we had our 9001 assessment. Not trying to find the right, not able to find the right document quick enough can often lead to a non-conformity. Now, this is only a short list of some of the challenges. There are obviously many more, and I believe James is going to introduce to us and cover off some of those items. So a little bit more about James. As I say, he's the business development manager for DocuWare, and he's going to be covering off DocuWare's award-winning solution will eliminate your compliance concerns and issues, and he's going to demonstrate today how easy it is to adopt for your organization, give us some real-world case studies of how they've implemented this and how it solved problems for certain customers, and expanding the scope beyond document control into AP automation, HR solutions, legal areas. So this is quite a broad product, and DocuWare definitely helps with future-proofing your business when it comes to regulatory changes. So without further ado, James, thank you very much for joining us. Excited to see what you have to show.
Thank you very much. So let me just take on the technology challenge, and I will start to share my screen. So hopefully we can all now see my slides.
Yeah.
Can go a little, yes, Matt. Brilliant. Thank you. So good morning, everybody, and thank you for taking the time to join us today. We want to kind of give you a brief overview and maybe some food for thought in terms of documents, managing those documents, and making sure that whatever we're doing with those documents, we do in a secure, compliant way and mitigate and reduce risk to the business as part of that as well. Before I get into more detail on some examples of how we can do that and have some nice, quick and easy wins, just a quick overview on DocuWare itself. DocuWare is a formal document management system. Essentially, this is a platform, and it can be cloud hosted or installed on premise. But essentially, this will help you centrally store documents in a secure way with complete audit trails and accessibility to those people that have the rights to access those documents. But what we can do as well is look at the information that resides within those documents and then start using that in intelligent ways in terms of routing that document and that information around the business, or even interacting with other business applications you might have in your organization as well. So it can really not only help with the compliance side of things, which we're going to cover, but it can help with a lot of operational productivity as well. So we can help speed up those processes for you. As I mentioned, DocuWare. So DocuWare is a document management product that has been running since the mid-80s. And over those years, a great deal of expertise and partnerships have been forged, particularly with a lot of different other applications, business applications and Microsoft Office applications, to just name a few. But also, as the years have come by, we've also adapted the product to help ensure that we can not only, as a company, provide our own compliance, but help other organizations with their compliance challenges as well. So when it comes to those ISOs and the GDPRs, and we're even looking at it's a global product, so we're looking not just UK based, but can be European, USA and beyond in terms of other compliance requirements that might be needed, which can sometimes particularly come into play if you are trading overseas with other organizations as well. So we can take care of a lot of those requirements if necessary as well. So really, what we're going to focus on today is DocuWare as a platform. So think of DocuWare as this overarching platform that can help with documents for all different areas of the business and help with those processes, interacting with people and information systems as necessary. So we can help look at an invoice approval process and capturing the information in those invoices and intelligently processing those. Managing personnel files for HR. So maybe it be document compliance and GDPR compliance that we're looking at in terms of making sure that we are only keeping documents as long as we need to, and for highlighting documents that might need to be removed from a system after a certain point. Ensuring a sales process is followed. We're ensuring we've got all the right paperwork and it's been signed in a legally admissible way from a client as well in terms of a sales process. Ensuring that everybody is working to the right versions of documents, ensuring these are published in the correct manner and the right people are notified so that we can follow the right processes to ensure a particular compliance, whether that's around production or whether that is around about operational efficiency. Making sure that people are working to the right contracts, making sure that we can access those contracts. We're looking for keywords in contracts. We've recently been working on a project where we've got contracts of varying lengths and varying degrees of complexity. Being able to quickly and easily access those documents and knowing that it is a true likeness of the original document that was maybe created 10, 20 years ago is a massive help to those companies that need access to those contracts. And then also making sure that as projects maybe move along in the process, we're updating those files so everybody is aware of how that project is progressing and they're accessing the right information. So taking care of the admin overheads at any stage in those processes as well. So there are lots of ways that DocuWare can help an organization. But what we're really going to focus on today is we're going to have some really quick snapshots of how we can help in terms of compliance in 4 different areas. So I'm going to be switching between my slides and we're going to jump into a live system and we're going to show you how we can help with different kind of use cases in here. Before I do so, I'm going to caveat this. These are very straightforward and simple use cases. Please don't think this is all our product can do. This is more just a food for thought kind of demonstration to give you a feel of the types of things that we can help with and also show you how easy it can be. DocuWare can do a great deal of different things within our system, whether that is integration with other systems to complex processes in which it might need multiple authorizers and interaction with different systems. We can take care of a lot of those things in the background to make it nice and straightforward for a user when it comes to using the system. So, nice straightforward one to begin with, contract management. So I'm going to say company A because I'm going to get tongue twisted if I keep saying anonymous or something else. So company A have trouble locating the latest versions of contracts and keeping track of when they're due for renewal. Can often be a case, it might not be contracts, it could be sales process, sales documents, it could be anything really, that in terms of tracking those documents and having some sort of reminder date against them. So I'm going to jump into my DocuWare system now. Matt, if you can just give me a quick, if you can see my system okay?
Yep, all good.
Brilliant, thank you. So what I've got on my screen now, and I'm going to give you a very quick overview now of DocuWare itself before we go into these little demonstrations. But DocuWare, I'm using the cloud-hosted solution, which most of our customers use these days because it takes care of a huge amount of also the document retention, the compliance in terms of backups as well. Accessing DocuWare couldn't be easier. All we need is a web browser and an internet connection if we're on a PC or a laptop. And we also have apps for iOS and Android, so we can access this system using smartphones and tablets. On my screen right now, I have a number of features on the left-hand side, and on the right-hand side, we have a document viewer in which we can see our documents. But for the left-hand side, we're going to focus on a few of these key features today. And what we're going to first focus on is our document trays. So document trays are where we capture or documents can land into our system and they can be ready to be filed away. You can see I've got 3 document trays open in here. We're going to come into use each of those today. But my first document tray right now open is contracts. Now, in terms of capturing these documents, we can monitor email addresses. We've got an add-on for Outlook, so we can one-click and send into our system. We can print, we can drag and drop from a folder. We can scan to our system. We can take photos with our mobiles and upload them. So loads of different ways in which we can capture this information. But once they're in here, these are kind of now waiting to be categorized or maybe filed away into our system. And there might be some underlying processes within there. So with my contracts, as you can see, we've got a leasing contract. Nice and straightforward. I'm going to store this contract. And in terms of being able to capture this information, you may see it's already grabbed some of this information out of my document already. But with Docua, we do have a level of artificial intelligence. The first one of those is what we call intelligent indexing. And this is where it can learn the layout of our documents and start automatically extracting that information. That's really useful if we're regularly seeing documents from the same people, and we can start automatically capturing that information without really much user interaction at all. It should be worth noting as well, only this year, Docua, we have acquired a company, Natif AI, which is a specialist AI function that will allow us not only to be able to read the documents, but understand the context, be able to classify documents. It will then be able to also read handwriting in documents. So we're going to do a great deal more document processing using AI and leveraging that information out of that document with little to no user interaction at that stage. But what I'm going to do with this document right now is I'm going to file this away. Now, filing away can be nice and easy. I can choose to say it's going to be one of these types of documents, in which case I'm going to choose contract. I might want to be able to add some information in here. I can type the information, but equally, we have a function called one-click indexing. So all I need to do is drag over the information on the document. We've already captured, so the Docua has already picked up on the actual subject of this, which is our leasing contract. And I'm going to say our document date is up here. So we can automatically extract that, and we can go an expiry date and maybe a reminder date of today. We can also say whether we want feedback on this or not. So this is actually now a nice, quick and easy way for me to be able to say, yes, I've received this contract, but I want to send this on to somebody, maybe to approve or to review. So when I hit store, the most important thing happens at this stage. This document is now secure in our system and is only accessible to those people that have access rights. So straight away, we tick that first box of compliance of ensuring that we've got our document secure in a system and accessible to only those authorized to do so. I'd also add the second stage in our cloud hosted solution. We have 2 data centers in 2 different locations, which means that when this document is first stored in our cloud system, it will be backed up in a separate location, which means we have what we call geo-redundancy, which again then will assist with GDPR compliance in terms of ensuring that we've got those documents backed up. My contract's been received, I've filed it away. We'll notice now a task has appeared on my screen. So in this task, this is me now just having to choose who I need to send this to. So I've got this leasing contract. I want somebody to review this to make sure all the T's and C's match what it should be, and I'm not signing up to something I shouldn't be signing up to, for example. In here, I can choose who I want to send this to. Now, rather than you watch me logging in and out of all different people and different users, we're going to just keep this to me for the time being. And what decision would I like to be made with this? In this example, I could say, right, I just want some comments, or actually, no, this might be my line manager, and I want them to sign off to say, I'm okay to go ahead to sign this contract off. I can hit confirm. That will then route to that person I've selected. So obviously it's me in this example, but it could be my manager. That person would receive an email saying they have a task, a document to approve and review. Now in that email, there'll be a link. They can tap on that link. If they're on their computer, it will take them straight to the web page. If they're on a mobile, we could even open the app and view that information there as well. And we can see now that actually here it is, that document with an activity if we've got some feedback been requested. The other thing we can do with our system as well is we can stamp our documents. So this can happen with any type of document. We see just the actions that have been taken. The beauty with stamps are they are what we call an annotation. So they don't change this original document. They are just a layer on top of that document. Again, we're being compliant. We're keeping that original intact the way it should be. If I wanted to, and I wanted to maybe print a copy of this contract, for example, within our toolbar in our viewer, you can see I can do that with or without these annotations as well. So my decision I can make here I can choose from a drop down to say whether it's approved, rejected, or maybe I just want to add comments. But I'm going to put approved and just say all okay. I can hit confirm. So that would then, from that approvers, that line manager role, for example, they've seen the document, they've reviewed it, they've approved it. That's going to come back to the requester, which is me, to just confirm to say, look, yep, they've looked at the document and they've approved it. And then I can go ahead and take the relevant action, maybe signing that contract, returning it back to that leasing company in this example. So we can see this has come back to me now to say, yeah, it's all been approved. And we can see the approved and the comment that was made all okay to go ahead. If I scroll down the document, because what it's done is look for a bit of white space in our document, we can also see that the stamp has been placed on that document as well. And I can hit confirm. I'm happy that that quick and easy process has all been completed. Now, we stored a document. It's been stored securely. We've even run through a quick approval process. Everything we've done has been tracked in our system. And to be able to see that, we just need to locate the document first of all. And locating the documents is nice and easy. So we can store documents based on the information we've extracted, and we can search based on that information as well. So in this example, I could say, show me all contracts that have been received between a date range, for example, or are due for renewal in the next 3 months. All of those types of things we can search. We can just as easily search for any text, any type text within that document, we can search and retrieve from as well. So I know, I hope I do know, I think it from memory, the registration in my sample contract was ABC1234. So by just typing into my full text search that information and hitting search, it maybe wasn't. I will just double check. He says confidently, let's try this one. It's an interesting save. I just, I've maybe locked this down so I don't have the access rights, which is even more impressive. But we should be able to find the document in our system quickly and easily. Yep, this is my fault because I filed it away under the wrong place. But what we can do is we can do a search to say ABC1234. We can do a full text search. It finds our document and highlights that information. So even better is I can show you can find a document even if I misfile it, and I can then put it in the right place. That's my fault with my different demos I'm trying to show it all at once. But it can make it quick and easy to be able to find this information. The other part we can do, and I've mentioned around that audit trail and that compliance, is we can see the decisions that have been made with these documents as well. So the first thing we can see is what we call our document history. Anybody who's ever accessed a document and viewed a document would be tracked in here. Now, this is obviously my demo example is only me logged in, but we'd expect to see different usernames and different times and dates of when people have maybe accessed a document. The other stage is any decisions that have been made with the document as well. So in this example, we can see that I requested feedback. Confusingly, I've sent it back to myself and I've asked them to approve it. That person, which is me, has approved it and put comments in there, all okay to go ahead. And I've acknowledged that I have seen that approval as well. So from an admin point of view and from an audit point of view, we can really understand and see quickly what decisions have been made from a document, and we're capturing usernames and times and dates that every action has been taken. Now, I've kind of touched this as very high level, very brief and simple demonstration processes, but in addition to users, we can do the same with systems as well. If we need to validate information against other systems, we can also do that as well. So that's a very quick contract management one. Other common examples of travel expenses. What do we do with travel expenses? How do we keep receipts? Do we need to keep the physical copies? How do we track who's putting in what? Lots of Excel sheets, lots of pieces of paper, or lots of photographs of receipts. With Docua, we also have the ability to create online web forms. This is a really useful tool in terms of capturing documents and information as we go through a process. So for example, we have a travel expense report here. We can then choose maybe our manager. I'm going to actually choose a different manager today. And I could say this expense report is for all of October, for example. I'm going to just do this in euros because maybe it was a foreign travel. And I can then start listing what information it was. Let me put some example. And you can choose expense types. So we can at this point fill this information in. We could add multiple lines if we wanted to. We can attach receipts. Now I can attach receipts based on it me being on my PC. If I was on a tablet or mobile, I can also access the camera. So I could take pictures of receipts and upload those. Just going to pop that in there. And anything with an asterisk is a required field. So I wouldn't be able to submit this unless I attached a receipt in there as well. So nice and easy, I can hit submit. This information is then, value not available in the drop down. That will be it. A good day today. Oh, no, it's turned out to be Halloween after all. There we go. That is why, because I've forced it to say we can have the right categories. Beauty of being able to force that, I'd probably add as well, is it might help with your own coding if you need to code expenses to certain reasons or events as well. I can hit submit. That is now again securely stored in our Docua system. It's filed away as an expense report with the receipts, with the report itself under a certain person's name. And what we've got here, in my example here, is lists. So lists are a really good way of managing documents that match certain criteria. So we can see, for example, I've got a list which I've called my expense forms, which is just listing the expenses I've ever submitted into the system and the different statuses. So we can see this is the one we've just submitted along with the receipt for the hotel. Nice and straightforward. I can view those. It could be that actually what will happen is my manager will get notification to say they need to approve my expenses, or it will list in there a pending expense for approval. And from here, we can approve those. Now we can do this in a few different options. We can do it very similar to the way we've done previously with contracts. I could also stamp the document to say I've approved it, which means it's now you can see updated to say it's been approved. And we can also see, yep, that's been approved in my expenses. And we can again have a list where we can see any pending expense forms and what status they're on. If we're happy it's been approved, it could then pass on to another department in which they can say, yep, we've processed this, we've either exported the data into a finance system and ran the payment. And at that point, we can say done and say it was paid today, for example. Really efficient expense process, I should add. But it can be as straightforward as that. And again, we're tracking all that information. We're making sure it's all searchable. So again, when we come to looking at for the information, we can quickly and easily see that information in our system. So we go to travel expenses, we can see our expense form. If I wanted to search again for some full text and I want to know hotel, again, it's highlighting where it's finding the text in our forms as well. Travel expenses. We've reduced the admin around receipts. We're storing all of those documents and those receipts in a compliant way. We can put retention policies behind those documents, so we can ensure that we keep them for the terms that they're required to be kept for as well. Now, use case 3, this is something we've covered previously in another webinar. So if you do require more information around how we really process invoices and lots of different ways with interacting with finance systems, then please do get in touch with Landal, because they will more than happily share that information and the recordings of those webinars. But what about those people that we still get those invoices, we print out the invoices, we key it into a finance system, and then we put it in pigeonholes or leave it on people's desks, and hopefully when they're back in the office, they'll notice it and sign it off. So DocuWare can help. In its simplest format, we go back to our document trays. We'll close this one down, close this one down, and we can see we've got an accounting document tray. And in this instance, invoices are landing into this document tray. We're maybe monitoring an invoice's at email address. We can see this invoice has arrived, and all we need to do at this point is store. We can see what we capture is different to what we maybe capture from a contract or an expense process. So again, we can tailor this system to capture all the different types of information. We can see using the intelligent indexing, it's automatically captured this information. But as I mentioned previously, if I wanted to train the system, the one-click indexing, so if I just drag over IT experts on my invoice, it populates it on the left-hand side, and DocuWare will learn the layout of this invoice and start extracting the information. Now, as I keep mentioning, it is a really straightforward demo system I'm showing today. We only have some very key information that we're extracting. But if we wanted to, we could capture all of the invoice information we require, including the line item information out of that document as well. My example again, though, capture that information. I've also asked for an approver. If I was to leave this blank, it potentially would just automatically approve my invoice. But in this example, I can choose an approver. I hit store. It would then notify that person that they have an invoice to approve by email. They click on the link and it will take them, first of all, to tell them off that we've already got an invoice that matches, and whether we'd like to reject and delete that document or whether we'd like to proceed. But we're going to proceed for our demonstration. So I've obviously saved one of these invoices in to test the system earlier. So what will happen now is that person will receive that approval task in which we can approve or reject our invoice. And in this, we've got just a simple comment box. We could have more information if we wanted to perhaps put a nominal code or a cost code in at this stage. Absolutely, we could do those types of things as well. And we can hit confirm. Really straightforward. If we then want to look and see our invoices, we can see a copy of our invoice has been approved. We can see there is our IT experts. Here is our lovely green stamps to say, yeah, it's the duplicate has been proceeded and we're all okay and approved it. Once again, we have a full document history. In fact, we can click on here and we can see the decisions that have been made in our process as well. Final use case, and I appreciate these are very straightforward, and again, more than happy to talk in more detail around any of these processes, or if you want a more in-depth process, would be employee records management. What about those times where we know we store the documents? And by all means, we speak to lots of companies and they do a very good job of storing those documents and making sure that only the right people can access those documents. But what about those copies of documents trapped maybe in network folders and emails and file cabinets? And particularly around employee records and HR in general, we've got lots of retention policies and compliance about what documents should be stored and shouldn't be stored and how long they should be stored for. How do we deal with those types of bits of information as well? Now, the beauty with DocuWare is we can apply retention policies to any types of documents we store in our system. And we can adapt those retention policies. It was only recently I was speaking to somebody and they've mentioned around a change in legislation around documentation relating to paternity and maternity, and how long that information should be kept on record. Again, we can change and adapt our system as legislation changes, not just for HR, but for everything in general. In my example, I've got human resources, I've got somebody with a pay slip, but actually it's just a slip to say the hours they've done. And what we'd like to do is store this and get approval on signing off those hours to make sure we're happy to pay them that overtime that they've claimed in there. Again, coming to store that, it automatically captured the information I want to capture. I can hit store. Again, that's going to raise a task to say, what do we want to do? We would like to say it's going to go to this person, and the decision is to approve. And it could be, can you approve the overtime? We can hit confirm. That will then notify the relevant person, in which case is me, that we have a claim to be processed or to be approved. Again, all of this is tracked. We can put compliance and retention policies behind these things, depending on how long we want to keep them for. And if there's ever any queries, we can refer back to those documents and see the actions that have been taken with them as well. So we can say, yeah, all approved. Just confirmed. We'll come back again, but once again, everything is going to be searchable in our system. If I just change my search and clear that out, we can hit search. We can see, here's my payslip. We can start to see the comments again that have been taken with this document. And once again, the decisions are all tracked within our system as well. So we can see, and we can see this hasn't quite finished because the person that raised the request has not confirmed that they have seen this approval made by the line manager, for example. But once again, I keep feeling like a broken record, but it's a really important broken record in terms of we are trying to ensure that everything we do is compliant. We're trying to not only do that, but we're also trying to improve operational efficiencies as well. And we've got to get that balance right in terms of making this as quick and easy a process, while obviously always being mindful of making sure it's more importantly a compliant process as well. So just to kind of recap and kind of summarize what we're doing there is we've got some key challenges in terms of what we have those challenges today in terms of, is it easy to find the information that you're looking for? Do you have complex filing structures that are dependent on the right people knowing how to file things away? Are we able to search key information residing within a document, or are we really depending on somebody clicking through those documents and having a look? We can help with our searches. As you've seen, we can do full text searches right the way down to let's have a look at certain categories and classifications of documents. Manually processing documents can lead to risks, either missing a process, missing a deadline, doing something incorrectly. We can help take care of that with the digital workflow side of things. We can have them as ad hoc processes where somebody can just get a second opinion, right the way through to formal processes that are doing validation with people and applications and data that you already have in the business. And we can really help with that and streamline that and put due dates on. We can send reminders and escalations if things are getting close to those dates that are required. And then what about visibility of what's happening at any given moment with documents and information in your business? How do we evidence that the right process was followed? And how do we stop any documents from going missing in an organization? Again, with our system, as soon as documents are stored in our system, it is secure, it is searchable, so we can easily find those documents. We can ensure only the right people are accessing those documents. And with those full audit trails and what we call workflow histories, we can see every action that has ever been taken with any of those documents as well. That can apply to a number of different departments. As I've mentioned, DocuWare is a platform. It can help in one area of business and can grow throughout an organization. We see that time and again, where perhaps we help with ensuring that invoices are processed correctly, to then moving on and speaking to HR and ensuring that personnel records are kept in a secure manner. And we're following the right process when we're on or offboarding an employee within the organization. So it can be a really powerful platform to help a lot of different areas of the business, particularly around document control and compliance. And it doesn't really matter not only what industry, but more importantly, I'd say what size of organization you are. The beauty with our software is entirely scalable. So it can be just as simple as 4 users accessing this system up to several thousand if necessary. It is a really good scalable system, which is feature rich, and all of those features are available regardless of the size of the organization. All we want to know is how many users we need to access this system. That is everything from me. Thank you very much for your time. I hope it's been of use, but obviously please reach out to Matt and the team following this if there's anything you require or any questions you have. Obviously, we've got the Q&A coming up shortly as well.
Thanks, James. Appreciate that. Thanks for your time, as always. Great recovery there as well. It's never great when doesn't quite go according to that. It's usually myself, so it's great that the gaff this time.
It was a Halloween gremlin, Matt. That was all it was. It was thrown in there to keep everyone on their toes.
Yeah. No, but well done. Thank you very much for that. I hope everyone gains value from that. If you'd like to experience a one-to-one consultation with ourselves and James Chantler and DocuWare to learn, as James said, a little bit more about how this product can work for your business, this was a very top-line overview, I guess, of what this solution can do and how it can support your business, not just with compliance, but with workflow automations, AI and processing, and supporting you ultimately with perhaps ISO standards. So if you'd like to, please feel free to scan the QR code and book in a one-to-one with ourselves. In addition to that, there's a few extra items you'll get if you book a one-to-one with us today. There'll be a 30-day free trial, or 30-day free period, I should say. We'll present a personalized workflow diagram for certain workflows within the solution, and a buyer's guide and health check that we'll run through with you to identify where there are areas that we can help you improve. So just moving on to the Q&A. Got a couple of questions that have come in throughout. So Andy has put, with contracts, is there any way to be able to have these signed by the client?
Yes, that's a good question. So yeah, absolutely. I've touched on, and I've not really gone into a great deal of detail, but DocuWare can integrate with a number of different business applications. And some of those applications include a couple of legal digital signature platforms like DocuSign or Validated ID. What that will allow you to do is actually distribute via DocuWare documents out to clients, have them digitally sign a document, and then it automatically return into DocuWare. And that can be part of a process. So you could actually generate the document, submit it through a digital signature platform. When it's returned back into the business, it notifies somebody of an action to take, for example. So it can be a really powerful way where we can not only use it for contracts for customers and clients, but we can also use that, for example, for employment contracts as well. Fantastic,
great, thank you. Another question here. So my process, would be different to what you have shown today. Is it easy to change?
Yeah. So the beauty with DocuWare, I've mentioned is think of it almost as a platform, a blank canvas. We look at your own processes and your documents. We look at the information that is important to you in your documents, and then what process this needs to follow. And how that process works is entirely up to you. I always say, imagine DocuWare is reading the information in your documents, and we're following a flow chart in the background. We work with you and help design the most efficient way for that flow chart to work. Now, it could mirror your process, and what we do is we just try and identify manual steps and bottlenecks and try and remove as many of those, or those areas of risk where maybe errors or missing documents or anything like that might happen. We try and mitigate and reduce all of those risks and try and improve the efficiency of the process overall.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you, James. And final question, just because I'm looking at the time, and I'm sure we've all got other tasks and jobs we need to get on with, probably making sure that our documents are compliant, probably a part of that. Can you put rules in for expense approvals if they go above a certain amount?
Yeah, so yeah, very similar to probably what we've just talked about there, those processes. Yeah, absolutely. So mine was a very basic setup in terms of expense approval, but yeah, you could put approval limits for users and groups, and you could have multiple limits if you wanted to. So it might be that my expense approval limit is so much, and then my manager is so much, and then the director is so much. So you could really put different layers of kind of approvals and processes in if necessary.
Fantastic. Okay, thank you very much. That wraps up the Q&A session. For those that have asked questions that we've not had a chance to answer, we will have a rep follow up with you and clarify. And again, as I say, if you'd like to book in a one-to-one session with myself, James, Chantler, or anyone else from either side, then please feel free to reach out to us. We will follow up with an email after this with a recording to the session. By all means, you can reply or follow up with us directly at our website, bandle.co.uk. And we're happy to engage and have a discussion. This webinar is now ended. Have a lovely day, everyone. Thank you very much for your time. Have a lovely Halloween. James, have you got anything, any plan? You're doing some trick-or-treating this evening? Are you going out?
No, that's it. I'm going to go around and scare people around their document compliance. I think that's my plans for today.
You're going to have to go as a ghost, I'm afraid, because that is the what we went with as the image for this this webinar. So,
DocuGhost.
Docu Ghost. Thank you very much for joining. Appreciate it. Take care. Have a lovely day.
Everyone.